Morning came to the Coalition core worlds as it had for thousands of years. The three suns of Coralia Prime rose over cities of flowing metal. The crystal spires of Nexus Prime caught the light and spread rainbows across the sky. The energy fields of Xanthari Station pulsed with their regular rhythm. Then everything changed. On Coralia Prime, metal beings looked up to see massive shapes blocking out their suns. Huge human ships hung in the sky like dark clouds. They had not been there moments before. No alarms had sounded. No sensors had detected their approach. The ships were enormous, larger than anything humans had ever built before. Their hulls were black as space itself, and strange lights moved across their surfaces like living things. They made no sound, but their presence pressed down on the world below like a heavy weight. On Nexus Prime, the crystal beings emerged from their towers to stare in shock. Human vessels floated above their most sacred places. One ship hovered directly over the Hall of Governance where yesterday they had given humanity an ultimatum. The Xanthari energy beings felt it first. These creatures lived as pure thought and electricity, and they could sense things others could not. The human ships were not just physically present. They existed in dimensions the Xanthari could barely perceive. Watching these vessels was like looking at shadows cast by objects in another universe. On every Coalition world, the same scene played out. Human ships appeared without warning in the skies above major cities, military bases, and government centers. Not hundreds of ships, but thousands. The Shadow Fleet was far larger than anyone had imagined. Captain Dong Yun stood on the bridge of the final warning as it hung above the Coalition's military headquarters on Vex Major. Below them, 6 armed alien soldiers ran in panic between buildings that had been designed to withstand any attack. But no one had planned for an enemy that could appear from nowhere. Open a channel to all Coalition worlds, Dong Yun ordered. Communications Officer Sun Wu activated the transmission array. The message would reach every planet, every space station, every ship in Coalition space at the same time. "This is Captain Dong Yun of the human vessel final warning," he said. His voice was calm and steady. "I am speaking to all Coalition governments and their people. This is humanity's response to your ultimatum." On a million worlds, aliens stopped what they were doing to listen. The message came through their own communication systems, bypassing every security measure they had built. "We have been in position above your worlds for 12 hours, Donghyun continued. "We could have acted at any time during that period. We could have disabled your defenses, destroyed your fleets, or taken control of your governments. We chose not to." In the Coalition Military Command Center below, General Vorthak of the Vex military stared at the displays in disbelief. 12 hours? Their sensors had been watching space continuously. Nothing had been detected. How long have they been there? He demanded. His aide, a young Vex officer with trembling arms, checked the sensor logs. "Sir, according to our records, there are no ships above us. Our sensors show clear skies." Vorthak looked out the window at the massive human vessel blocking out the sun. "Are our sensors broken?" "No, sir. They are working perfectly. They just cannot see the human ships." "Consider this our negotiation," Donghyun's voice continued from the speakers. On the agricultural world of Verdania, millions of aliens worked in vast farms that fed half the galaxy. These were peaceful beings who had never seen war. When human ships appeared over their fields, many fell to their knees in terror. But Director Soyoung of the Human Diplomatic Corps transmitted a different message to Verdania. Her voice was gentle and reassuring. "People of Verdania," she said, "we are not here to harm you. We are here to make a point to your government. Continue your work. Care for your families. We have no quarrel with those who live in peace." On the mining world of Korath 7, aliens who dug precious metals from dangerous tunnels saw human ships and thought their world was about to be destroyed. But Captain Taehyung of the Peaceful Resolution broadcast a similar message. "Workers of Korath," he said, "you have nothing to fear from us. We protect those who work hard and live honestly. Our disagreement is with those who rule you, not with you." These messages confused the Coalition leaders. If humans had such powerful technology, why were they being so careful about civilian populations? Why were they not simply taking what they wanted by force? The answer came from Admiral Jiho aboard the Eternal Vigilance, now hovering above the Coalition's capital world. "Leaders of the Coalition," his voice reached every government building in their space. "You believed we would negotiate from weakness. You thought we would beg for mercy like other young species. You assumed we had no choice but to accept your demands. The crystal speaker who had delivered the ultimatum to Taman now stood in his tower, looking up at the human ships. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. You were wrong, Jiho continued. We do not negotiate from weakness. We negotiate from a position of absolute strength. We have been watching you for decades. We know the location of every ship, every base, every important facility in your space. We can reach any target we choose, any time we choose. On Coralia Prime, metal beings tried to activate their planetary defenses. Energy cannons that could destroy asteroids swiveled toward the human ships and fired. The beams passed through the human vessels as if they were not there. Your weapons cannot touch us, Jiho's voice explained. Your sensors cannot see us when we choose to hide. Your ships cannot follow us where we go. You have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years because no one could challenge your technology. That time is over. The Coalition's greatest scientists worked frantically to understand what they were seeing. The human ships seemed to exist in normal space and somewhere else at the same time. They could be solid when they wanted to land or dock, but invisible to energy when weapons were fired at them. Dr. Heejin, the Coalition's leading expert on dimensional physics, stared at her readings in horror. They are not just using advanced technology, she whispered to her assistants. They are using science we thought was impossible. The demonstration is complete, Dongyun announced from above Vex Major. We will remain in position for 24 hours, then withdraw to await your decision. You have seen what we can do. You know we could have done much worse. Choose wisely. One by one, the human ships began to fade from view. They did not fly away. They simply became invisible again, returning to the hidden dimensions where they lived. But everyone knew they were still there, waiting, watching. On every Coalition world, people looked up at skies that seemed empty, but felt full of threat. The most powerful civilization in the galaxy had been visited by ghosts that could become real whenever they chose. The balance of power had shifted in a single day, and everyone knew it. Deep in empty space, where no stars shine and no planets orbit, Admiral Jiho stood on the bridge of a ship that should not exist. The Eternal Vigilance looked like a normal human cruiser from the outside, but inside it was something completely different. The walls seemed to bend and twist. Lights flickered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Computers hummed with power that came from somewhere else, somewhere outside normal space. This was humanity's greatest secret, hidden for 20 years from every alien eye. Admiral, Captain Yuna said as she approached his command chair. Earth Command is sending new orders. Jiho took the message pad and read it slowly. His face showed no emotion, but Yuna saw his hands grip the pad tighter. Protocol Terminus, he said quietly. Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. Every officer in the Shadow Fleet knew what those words meant. They had trained for this moment, but she had hoped it would never come. Sir, are we sure this is necessary? She asked. The Coalition gave us 30 days. Maybe we can still find a peaceful solution. Jiho turned to look at her. His eyes were tired but determined. Captain, how long have we been watching them? 43 years, sir. And in all that time, have they ever changed their minds about a younger species? Yuna thought about the report she had read. The Melendi civilization, forced into slavery after they refused Coalition demands. The Terok people, whose homeworld was stripped of resources as punishment for independence. The Yilani species scattered across the galaxy after their government was destroyed. No, sir, she said quietly. The Coalition believes in one thing, Jiho said. Power. They think we are weak because we are young. They think we will beg for mercy because other species did. They cannot imagine that we might be different. Around them, the bridge crew worked at stations that looked normal but functioned in impossible ways. Lieutenant Kyung monitored sensors that could see through dimensions most humans could not even imagine. Engineer Minho maintained engines that borrowed energy from alternate realities. Communications Officer Hana sent messages through space that folded in on itself. How many ships in the Shadow Fleet? Jiho asked. 217 operational vessels, Yuna replied. All equipped with phase technology. All invisible to Coalition sensors, Jiho nodded. And the regular fleet? They completed the withdrawal yesterday. Every visible ship is now in hiding behind Earth's moon, just as we planned. The plan had taken decades to develop. While the Coalition watched humanity's visible fleet, they never noticed the ships being built in hidden shipyards. These shipyards existed in pocket dimensions, small bubbles of space that touched normal reality only when necessary. Humans had discovered dimensional technology by accident. A mining expedition had drilled too deep into an asteroid and broken through into somewhere else. Instead of reporting the discovery, the mining team had quietly contacted Earth's military. For 20 years, humanity had been building ships and weapons in spaces that aliens did not know existed. "Sir," Engineer Minho called from his station, "all ships report ready for phase shift." Jiho stood up from his command chair. Around him, displays showed the positions of every Shadow Fleet vessel. They were spread across the galaxy, each one hiding in the spaces between normal dimensions. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. The communication system activated. On every Shadow Fleet vessel, captains and crews heard Jiho's voice. "This is Admiral Jiho to all Shadow Fleet commanders. Today we show the galaxy who we really are. For 20 years we have watched and learned. We have studied every coalition ship, every weapon, every defensive system. We know their strengths and their weaknesses better than they know themselves." He paused, looking out at the twisted space around his ship. "They think we are children playing with toys. They believe our technology is primitive. They assume we will negotiate from fear. They are wrong about everything." Captain Yuna watched the displays as ships across the galaxy acknowledged the Admiral's message. The Shadow Fleet was ready. "The Coalition has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years, Jiho continued. They have never faced a species like us. They have never encountered technology like ours. They think they know what humanity is capable of. Today we teach them how wrong they are." On the engineering deck, Minho began the final preparations. The phase engines required precise calibration to move so many ships at once. Each vessel had to transition from hidden space to normal reality at exactly the right moment. "Phase drive charging," Minho reported. "Dimensional barriers stable. All ships ready for translation." Jiho looked at his crew. These men and women had trained their entire careers for this moment. They had given up normal lives to serve on ships that officially did not exist. They had kept humanity's greatest secret even from their own families. "Captain Yuna," he said, "signal the fleet. All ships to battle stations." Throughout the Shadow Fleet, alarms began to sound. But these were not sounds of panic. They were the steady, determined tones of a military force that had prepared for this day for decades. "Sir," Communications Officer Hana reported, "we are receiving messages from Coalition space. Their sensors are still showing empty space where our regular fleet used to be. They think we are hiding behind our planets." Jiho smiled grimly. "Let them think that for a few more hours. Soon they will understand the difference between hiding and hunting." The phase engines reached full power. Around each Shadow Fleet ship, reality began to bend and twist. The vessels existed in normal space and hidden space at the same time, preparing to emerge where the Coalition least expected them. "All ships report ready," Yuna announced. Jiho took a deep breath. In a few hours, the balance of power in the galaxy would change forever. The Coalition would learn that humanity was not just another young species to be conquered. They would discover that the hunters had become the hunted. "Begin phase translation," he ordered. "All ships to Coalition space. Operation Ghost Strike is now active." Around him, the eternal vigilance began to move between dimensions. Soon, every Coalition world would wake up to find human ships in their skies. Ships that had appeared without warning, without detection, without any way to stop them. The Shadow Fleet was no longer hiding. They were coming. The great hall on Nexus Prime sparkled like a diamond cave. Crystal walls stretched up so high that the ceiling disappeared in bright light. 12 different alien species sat in their special chairs, each one bigger and more impressive than anything humans had ever built. Taman walked into the hall alone. His simple black suit looked tiny compared to the massive aliens around him. The Corallian delegate was as tall as 3 men, with skin that looked like flowing metal. The Vex representative had 6 arms and eyes that glowed like stars. The Zenthari ambassador was just a floating ball of pure energy that hummed with power. But Taman walked forward without fear. His shoes clicked on the crystal floor as he approached the center of the hall. Every alien eye watched him. Some aliens whispered to each other in languages that sounded like music or thunder or breaking glass. The speaker rose from the highest chair. This alien looked like a living mountain made of purple crystal. Light flowed through its body like blood. When it spoke, its voice shook the entire hall. "Human representative," the speaker said. "You stand before the Galactic Coalition of Advanced Species. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We brought peace to 1,000,000 worlds. We stopped wars before your species even learned to make fire. Taman stood still and listened. He kept his face calm, but his heart was beating fast. Behind him, recording devices captured every word. This message would reach Earth in a few hours. Your species has grown too bold, the speaker continued. You take systems that belong to us. You build colonies on worlds we marked for ourselves. You ignore our warnings and laugh at our requests for meetings. The other aliens nodded their agreement. The Corallian delegate slammed one metal fist on its chair. The sound rang through the hall like a giant bell. We are not unreasonable, the speaker said. We remember what it was like to be young and eager. But there are rules in this galaxy. There is order. Your species must learn its place, Taman finally spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. What do you want? The speaker's crystal body flashed brighter. We give you 30 standard days. Remove all human colonies from the contested systems. Bring your ships back to your home area. Accept coalition oversight of all future human expansion. Do this, and we will welcome you as junior members of our great civilization. And if we refuse? Taman asked. The alien delegates laughed. Some laughs sounded like wind chimes. Others sounded like breaking rocks. The Vex delegate made a noise like screaming metal. Then we will take corrective military action, the speaker said. We will remove your colonies ourselves. We will destroy any ships that resist. We will place your homeworld under direct coalition control until your species learns proper behavior. The speaker leaned forward. Its massive crystal face came closer to Taman. Human, your entire species has perhaps 1,000 ships. We have fleets that number in the millions. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Your shields are like paper. Your technology is 10,000 years behind ours. This is not a negotiation. This is us being merciful. Taman looked up at the crystal giant. For a moment, the hall was completely quiet. Even the humming energy beings stopped making noise. I understand, Taman said. I will take your message to my people. Good, the speaker said. We expect your answer soon. Do not keep us waiting. Taman turned and walked toward the exit, but then he stopped. He looked back at the assembled aliens. I have one question, he said. The speaker's crystal body darkened. Speak quickly. Do you know where our ships are right now? The question surprised the aliens. The Vex delegate's 6 arms moved in confusion. The Xanthari energy ball flickered. Your ships patrol your territory, the Corallian delegate said. Our scouts watch them every day. Primitive vessels guarding primitive worlds. Taman smiled. It was not a happy smile. You might want to check again. Then he walked out of the hall. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. As soon as Taman left, the alien delegates began talking at once. The Corallian delegate demanded an immediate scan of human space. The Vex representative called for intelligence reports, the Xanthari energy being pulsed with angry light. But when the reports came in, the hall fell silent again. Every human ship had vanished. The colonies were still there. The space stations remained in orbit. But every single human military vessel had disappeared without a trace. No jump signatures, no energy trails, no distress signals. They were simply gone. Where are they? The speaker demanded. The intelligence officers had no answer. Long-range sensors showed empty space where human fleets should be. Deep space monitoring stations detected nothing. Even the most advanced coalition technology could not find a single human ship anywhere in the galaxy. The Corallian delegate stood up. Its metal skin turned from silver to dark red. This is impossible. Ships cannot just disappear. Perhaps they are hiding behind their planets, suggested the Vex representative. We checked, said an intelligence officer. We scanned every human world. We looked behind every moon and asteroid. The ships are not there. The speaker's crystal body flashed with angry light. Find them. Use every sensor in coalition space. Check every corner of every system. Those ships must be somewhere. But hours passed with no results. The human ships remained missing. The coalition's best scientists could not explain it. Their most advanced computers could not calculate where 1,000 ships could hide. In the crystal hall, fear began to replace anger. The Xanthari energy being spoke in a voice like static electricity. What if the humans have technology we do not know about? Impossible, the speaker said. But its voice was not as confident as before. They are a young species. We have monitored their development for centuries. They have nothing we have not seen before. But doubt crept into the minds of every delegate. If humans could make their entire fleet invisible, what else could they do? If their technology was more advanced than anyone thought, what did that mean for the Coalition's ultimatum? The speaker tried to maintain authority. It does not matter where they hide their ships. When the 30 days are over, we will find them and destroy them. The Coalition's power is absolute. But as the delegates filed out of the Crystal Hall, each one was thinking the same thing. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Coalition faced something they did not understand. And in the darkness of space, invisible to all their sensors, human ships moved toward their targets with the patience of predators who had already won. The Coalition's best scientists worked without sleep for 3 days. In laboratories across their space, the greatest minds of 12 different species tried to understand what they had witnessed. The results terrified them more than the human ships themselves. Dr. Hyejin stood before the Coalition Science Council in the crystal halls of Nexus Prime. Her usually perfect composure was gone. Her hands shook as she activated the holographic display. "Council members," she said, "what we discovered defies everything we thought we knew about the universe." The display showed energy readings taken during the human demonstration. To most observers, they looked like random patterns of light. But to trained scientists, they told a story that changed everything. "These readings are from the human vessels," Dr. Hyejin continued. "At first, we thought they were using some form of advanced cloaking technology. We were wrong. They are not hiding their ships. They are placing them outside our reality." Council member Vorthak leaned forward. "Explain." "The ships exist in what we can only call parallel space. They can move between our dimension and theirs at will. When they want to be seen and felt, they shift into our reality. When they want to disappear, they step sideways into somewhere else." The implications hit the Council like a physical blow. If humans could move between dimensions, they could appear anywhere without warning. No defense could stop an enemy that attacked from outside space itself. "But that is not the worst part," Dr. Hyejin said quietly. She activated another display. This one showed readings that made no sense according to known physics. Energy signatures that should have been impossible. Mathematical constants that seemed to change from moment to moment. "These readings are from their largest ship. We detected it only briefly, when it chose to become partially visible. The energy pattern suggests something we thought was purely theoretical." "What?" demanded the crystal speaker. "They are not just moving between dimensions. They are manipulating the fundamental laws of physics themselves." Silence fell over the council chamber. Even the energy beings stopped their constant humming. Aboard the Absolute Certainty, Admiral Jiwan reviewed the same data that was causing panic in Coalition space. But for her, these readings were familiar. She had worked with this technology for 15 years. "Engineer Minho," she said to her chief science officer, "are the Coalition scientists making progress?" Minho checked his instruments. The Absolute Certainty could monitor Coalition communications without being detected. "Yes, Admiral. Dr. Hyejin is remarkably intelligent. She has figured out most of it." "Good. Then they will understand what we offer them." The Absolute Certainty was different from every other ship in the human fleet. It was larger, certainly, but size was not its most important feature. This vessel carried humanity's ultimate achievement, the reality engine. Captain Wusung, second in command, approached Admiral Jiwan at her station. "Admiral, Earth Command is requesting a demonstration for the Coalition Science Council." Jiwan nodded. It is time they understood what they are truly facing. "Target? The dead system of Korvac. No planets, no stations, nothing alive." "Perfect. Signal the Coalition. Tell them we will show them something that will help them make their decision." The message reached the Coalition Council within minutes. An invitation to witness a demonstration in an empty star system. The tone was polite, almost friendly, but everyone understood it was really a threat. Dr. Hyejin and the Coalition Science Council boarded their fastest ship and traveled to Korvac. The system contained only a dying red star and empty space. It had been dead for millions of years. When they arrived, they found the Absolute Certainty waiting for them. The ship was visible now, and its size was intimidating. It was larger than some space stations, and energy flowed across its hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Coalition vessel." Admiral Jiwan's voice came over their communications. "Thank you for accepting our invitation. Please maintain your current distance and observe." Engineer Minho activated the reality engine. What happened next changed everything the Coalition thought they knew about the universe. The dying red star began to change. Its color shifted from red to yellow to white to blue. The star was not just getting hotter. The laws of physics governing nuclear fusion were being rewritten in real time. Impossible, Dr. Heejin whispered. The star continued to change. Now it pulsed with energy that followed no known pattern. Elements that should not exist in a star's core began to appear in its spectrum. The star was becoming something that violated every rule of stellar physics. Then, as suddenly as it began, the changes stopped. The star returned to its original red color. Everything went back to normal. "This is Admiral Jaiwan of the Absolute Certainty," came the calm voice over the communications channel. "What you witnessed was a minor adjustment to the physical constants governing nuclear fusion. We changed how atoms behave inside the star's core." Dr. Hyojin checked her instruments frantically. The readings confirmed what she had seen. For several minutes, the fundamental laws of physics had been different in that star system. "We can make similar adjustments to other physical processes," Admiral Jiwan continued. "We can change how electromagnetics work, making your shields useless. We can alter gravitational constants, making your ships unable to maintain orbit. We can modify the strong nuclear force, making your weapons unable to hold together." The Coalition scientists stared at their instruments in horror. The readings showed that the human ship could literally rewrite reality in a localized area. "Your species has mastered energy and matter," Admiral Jiwan said. "You build impressive ships and powerful weapons, but you work within the rules of physics as they exist. We learned to change the rules themselves." Captain Wusung opened a direct channel to Dr. Heejin. "Doctor, you understand dimensional physics better than most. You realize what this means?" Dr. Heejin's voice was barely a whisper. "You could make our weapons stop working by changing how atoms bond. You could make our ships fall apart by altering electromagnetic forces. You could make entire fleets cease to exist by modifying the mathematical constants that allow matter to remain stable." "Exactly," Wusung confirmed. "We do not need to destroy your ships with superior firepower. We can simply make it impossible for your ships to exist." The Coalition Science Council sat in stunned silence. They had come expecting to analyze advanced human technology. Instead, they had witnessed something that approached godlike power. "Why?" Dr. Heejin finally asked. "Why develop such terrible weapons?" Admiral Jiwan's voice became serious. "Because we know what is coming, Doctor. The Coalition believes you are the greatest power in this galaxy. You are not. Something far worse approaches from beyond our stars. Something that makes our current conflict seem like children arguing over toys." "What do you mean?" "That is a conversation for after this crisis is resolved. For now, understand this. The Absolute Certainty was not built to conquer the Coalition. It was built to defend against entities that exist partially outside reality itself. You have never faced such an enemy." "We have." The implications were staggering. Humanity had not developed reality-altering technology to rule the galaxy. They had developed it to fight something that the Coalition had never even imagined. "Return to your leaders," Admiral Jiwan said. "Tell them what you have seen. Help them understand that this conflict must end quickly. We have more important battles to prepare for." The Coalition ship turned and headed home, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. Behind them, the Absolute Certainty faded from view, returning to the hidden dimensions where humanity's true fleet waited. The demonstration was complete. Now the Coalition had to decide whether to surrender to beings who could rewrite reality, or face the consequences of fighting gods. The emergency session began on Nexus Prime as the three suns set behind the crystal spires. For the first time in Coalition history, every leader of every member species was present, not as holograms or representatives, but physically present in the Great Hall. The crystal speaker stood at the center, but his usual commanding presence was gone. The light that normally flowed through his body was dim and flickering. Around him, the other leaders sat in worried silence. "We have heard Dr. Heejin's report," the speaker said. "We have seen the recordings from Korvac. We all understand what we face." General Vorthak of the Vex military was the first to speak. His 6 arms moved nervously as he talked. "In 3,000 years of military service, I have never encountered an enemy we could not defeat. This is different. How do you fight beings who can change the laws of physics?" President Corville of the Corallian Collective slammed one metal fist on his chair. "We are the Coalition. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We do not surrender to anyone. Then what do you suggest? Asked Chancellor Tymet of the Zenthari Union. The energy being's voice crackled with static electricity. Should we send our fleets against ships that can make our weapons stop working? Should we attack enemies who can appear anywhere without warning? Dr. Heejin activated a holographic display in the center of the hall. It showed the energy readings from the human demonstration. Leaders, please understand what we witnessed. This is not just advanced technology. The humans have transcended the normal limitations that govern how civilizations develop. She manipulated the display to show comparative data. It took our species millions of years to reach our current level of development. Humans achieved something beyond our comprehension in mere centuries. This suggests they had help, or they discovered something we never found. What kind of help? The speaker asked. I believe they encountered another species, something that taught them these techniques. But if so, where is this teacher species now? The question hung in the air like a threat. If humans had learned their power from someone else, what had happened to their teachers? On Earth, General Sunho sat in the Strategic Command Center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Multiple screens showed him everything happening on Nexus Prime. Human intelligence had infiltrated Coalition communications decades ago. Sir, his aide Captain Youngman reported, the Coalition is considering 3 options: immediate surrender, negotiated settlement, or military resistance. Sunho nodded. Probability estimates? Our analysis suggests 30% chance of surrender, 50% chance of negotiation attempts, 20% chance of military action. And if they choose military action? Captain Youngman checked his datapad. Total Coalition forces amount to approximately 2 million combat vessels. Our Shadow Fleet numbers 217 ships. Under normal circumstances, the odds would be hopeless. But these are not normal circumstances, no sir. Our technology advantage is so overwhelming that fleet size becomes irrelevant. We could disable their entire military without firing a single conventional weapon. Sunho studied the tactical displays. That is not the real problem, Captain. The real problem is what comes after. He activated a different screen, one showing deep space sensor readings from the edge of the galaxy. Strange energy signatures that grew stronger every day, signs of something approaching from the void between galaxies. Sir, should we tell the Coalition about the external threat? Not yet. First, they must accept that their time as galactic rulers is over. Only then can we begin preparing for what is really coming. Back on Nexus Prime, the debate continued. Hours passed as leaders argued about impossible choices. Some wanted to fight despite the odds. Others insisted on negotiation. A few quietly suggested surrender. President Hyejin, who had been silent through most of the debate, finally stood to speak. She was different from the other Coalition leaders. Her species had joined the Coalition voluntarily, seeking protection rather than conquest. Leaders, she said, we are debating the wrong question. We ask whether to fight or surrender. But we should ask what the humans really want. They want our territory, General Vorthak said. They want our resources. They want to rule us. Do they? Hyejin challenged. Look at their actions. They could have destroyed our fleets on the first day. They could have bombarded our worlds into submission. They could have taken anything they wanted by force. Instead, they gave us a demonstration and waited for our response. Chancellor Timmet's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. You think they want something else? I think they are trying to tell us something we are too proud to hear. The great doors of the hall opened with a sound like ringing bells. A figure walked in that made every alien leader freeze in shock. It was Taman, the human ambassador. But he was not alone. Behind him walked 12 people in simple black uniforms. Each one moved with the calm confidence of someone who knew they held all the power in the room. Leaders of the Coalition, Taman said as he approached the center of the hall. I bring greetings from Earth and an offer of partnership. Partnership? The speaker's voice shook with rage. You threaten our worlds with impossible weapons and then speak of partnership? One of the humans with Taman stepped forward. Captain Nayung wore the insignia of Earth's Strategic Intelligence Division. We threaten no one who does not threaten us. Our weapons exist for defense, not conquest. Defense against what? Dr. Hyejin asked. Captain Nayung activated a small device. Holographic displays filled the air above the assembled leaders. They showed star charts, energy readings, and astronomical data that made the Coalition's greatest scientists gasp in horror. Something is coming, Nayung said simply. something from outside our galaxy, something that makes our current disagreement seem trivial. The displays showed massive energy signatures moving through the void between galaxies, structures larger than solar systems, power levels that dwarfed anything in Coalition space. We have been monitoring this approach for 15 years, Nayong continued. Our estimates suggest arrival within 50 to 70 standard years. When they get here, neither human nor Coalition technology will be sufficient to stop them. General Vorthak studied the displays with professional interest. What are they? We call them the Devourers. They consume entire civilizations not for resources, but for the knowledge and experience contained in living minds. They have crossed the empty space between galaxies specifically to reach us. The Coalition leaders stared at the data in growing horror. The approaching entities showed power levels beyond anything they had imagined possible. This is why we developed our technology so quickly, Taman explained. This is why we built ships that can manipulate reality. We are not preparing to conquer you. We are preparing to defend all of us. President Hyojin understood first. You encountered them before. Not us personally, Captain Nayong said. But our species has racial memories of the last time they came. Millions of years ago they visited Earth. They left only a few survivors, but those survivors carried the memory in their genetic code. When we developed the technology to read those memories, we learned what was coming. The revelation hit the Coalition like a physical blow. Humanity had not developed impossible technology through genius or luck. They had developed it because they knew what was approaching. What do you want from us? The speaker asked. Your help, Taman said simply. Your knowledge, your resources, your experience. Separately, none of us can stop what is coming. Together we might have a chance, and if we refuse? Captain Nayong's expression did not change. Then you will face the Devourers alone while we retreat to prepared positions and hope they are satisfied with consuming only your civilizations. The choice was clear. Join with humanity in preparing for an unimaginable threat, or face that threat alone while the humans watched from safety. The Great Hall fell silent as 12 species considered a future none of them had imagined. The age of Coalition dominance was over. The question now was whether they would help build what came next or be swept aside by forces beyond their control. The galaxy was about to change forever, and everyone knew it.